Hey, everybody, give me 1 second. I don't know how that got there. Let's find it. That right there would be Jeffrey Epstein's people. I don't know how that got there. Holy cow, I was the first like. Join me, says Barbara Waite. Chase the heat, good to see you. You mean my brother didn't even hit like? That's just downright awful. Jane, good to see you. Yeah, they all say that. They all say that. Jane Aldrich, Kristen Melinda. How are you? Barbara Waite, good to see you. Glad that you are here. This one is a little early, huh? About a little early Tommy Scoville hookup after the brother. I've had a day that was better. Good to see you. Tommy Bird, what's happening? Hey, Ashley. Air Supply. Love that band. Always a huge fan of Air Supply. I'm lying alone. Anyway, Audra in Denver, good to see you. You know, yesterday was a rugged day. We're going to talk about it. We're going to have a very healthy and cool dialogue, but we're going to talk about the aftermath of what happened yesterday. Lisa White, good to see you. Because I'll tell you what, it's not just, this was a tragedy, but now people that said some really awful things are all getting fired. And I mean a bunch of them. People all over the country are getting fired for things that they said. It's and it's an uncomfortable feeling for me. It really is. And I think it would have made Charlie Kirk upset because it's free speech is free speech. There's no law that says you can't be an asshole. There is at this channel. You know what I mean? You can make it in your front yard. You can make it in your living room, but people can say hateful things. It sucks. Trust me, it's the as a content creator, this is something that you deal with all of the time, but people have the ability to say hateful things. Is it right to say after somebody catches a bullet that kills them in front of their children and their wife that you're happy that it happened? No, it makes you a terrible human being. Makes you a horrific human being. Now, that said, the person you work for, it's like his living room. So all these people who are saying they're trampling on free speech, no, they're not. You can say whatever you want. But the person you're saying it in front of, if he happens to sign your paycheck, he can say, that's not in line with what my business image I'm hoping to portray is going to be. I don't want you screwing up in front of my audience and making people monk. Good to see you, Monk. This is one of those things that everyone has the right to do. You know, when they were talking about people kneeling in football, you can kneel. You have the right to kneel. And if your coach or your boss of that football team decides to fire you, he has that right too. Kevin Hawthorne, good to see you. Kelly, how are ya? And honestly, I'm a fan of free speech, but you have to really be careful where you make free speech, right? You can't yell fire in a house. Been watching from the UK and I'm shocked at people laughing and celebrating a man's death. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm not surprised, Ann. I think that it's probably a more prevalent thing in the United States, sadly. Lisa Waite, looking good and green. I am so happy you are here. Colleges that depend on alumni donations don't like a bad look, and colleges have been whacking people left and right. The down near Bug Tussle, there's a college in Tennessee that got rid of a couple of people, right? That fired a couple of people for what they said. If you walk into a classroom of kids who are growing up and tell those kids that this was a good thing, you probably ought to be fired. It's my humble opinion. This isn't a good thing. Shooting someone because of their words might be the most disgusting thing in the entire world. Everyone hated him for allowing conversation. Seems to be the last thing allowed. Now it's now is the two sides speaking together. This thing is horrible. I was no fan of the man, to be honest, but this is wrong. I want to tell you something, Andrew B. I'm going to use you as an example. And sometimes that's a bad thing on the Love Boat, but it's not this time. I want you to listen to this very carefully, everybody. Everybody hated him for allowing conversation. Seems to be the last thing allowed now is the two sides speaking together. The thing is horrible. I was no fan. I can take stuff like that. Absolutely take stuff like that. You know what I can't stand? When people write, I didn't like the guy, but if you say it the way Andrew just said it, you're looking at humanity that links people together as opposed to looking at things that divide us. If your lead statement was, I hated him, but I don't want to see anybody get killed, you're part of the reason he did. I'm sorry. It's the truth. This is pervasive. And the part of this story that's terrifying to me is the fact that voices like this further the belief that it's okay to kill someone because you don't like what kind of company they run. You got your insurance, denied, and you think it's a good idea to go shoot the guy that is the head of the company. And people all over the United States put money on your books while you're locked up and celebrate you like you're Don Quixote, right? That you're fighting the windmills and making it happen. And I'm terrified that if they catch this guy alive and he hasn't already taken his own life, that there are asses on this planet that are going to make this guy a hero. And that to me is frightening. But the most frightening part of this is the fallout. I'll tell you something. It's not okay to kill anybody, says Ashley, and you're right. Hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, leads to hateful actions. Nobody should be hurt or killed. It's the end of the story. You're right. But Charlie Kirk would have been the first person to tell you that to sit down and have a conversation with someone and talk about absolutely anything is okay. It is. But you got to stay in line with the people that pay your check. They have the right to go, you can't work here anymore. I don't want to see the people that said this hunted down and killed. But let me tell you what's happening. There are people out there that are freaking out about what people have said. And there are large websites that have been put up so that if your friend happens to be somebody that put on social media, boy, am I glad this guy's dead, they want you to send that into them so that they can post it. That way, large businesses can just have AI go through it like this and go, ooh, you know what Tommy said? I don't think I want him working for us anymore. It's a little frightening, isn't it? It's a little frightening. But people say integrity is doing the right thing when no one's watching. Well, on social media, integrity is doing the right thing when everybody's watching. Right? You're not anonymous because people can't see you and you're not sitting in front of a camera doing what I'm doing right now. You're not anonymous. Trust and believe people are going to find out who you are. These sites are popping up. These pages are popping up all over the place, and it's already costing people their jobs. 1984 was a fascinating book. It was a look into a dystopian future. And if you look at where we are at today, I think we're in a scarier time than in the book 1984. We're not far from Big Brother being exactly what it was in that story. And you think there's not going to be a light on the wall. There's not going to be somebody. No, your television's watching you. Your phone's watching you. I'm a watch freak. I'm really, really into watches. And if I get in a conversation with a girlfriend or a brother or anybody I'm hanging out with, and we start talking about a particular brand, when I turn my phone back on, that brand will be the first 6 things I see, right? Bruce Cook, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. The portal to every next level is through the parts of yourself that you avoid. Kelly, you know what? That's pretty solid. I absolutely love this. I really do. We avoid any kind of anything that doesn't make us feel better. And the proof is in the pudding. I'm not trying to be a jerk on this, but the proof is in the pudding. Algorithms find out what you want and shove it down your throat. And then there'll be about a 10% or a 20% to see if they can get you to start watching something else. And over time, that 10% became larger and larger because AI knows that if it puts enough negative crap in front of us, we're going to start watching it. And then we're going to get invested in it. And now we're in an echo chamber because what we're listening to tells us that we're right and they're wrong. This is a terrifying thing that's happening. It really is. And the worst part is that we're programming these computers for what our kids should be looking at. We're teaching the algorithm what kids are going to see 5 years from now if we're still around. I'm telling you, man, the battle cry's got to be don't look at hate. If you find yourself in a chat and people are going, man, am I glad he's dead, you're in the wrong room. I'm sorry, but you are. That's a terrifying thing to be a part of. And the worst part is that when we feed into it, Dan Young says the question that was asked before he was shot was not a coincidence. This is a choreographed event. For those who do not know, the final question, if I'm not mistaken, was something along the lines of how many people do you think have died for trans rights? And his answer was too many. It's the last thing that ever came off of his lips. Sounds really hateful, doesn't it? Doesn't it? Hater. Listen to him tell it. They'll tell you he was the most hateful person on planet Earth. He was not. I promise you he was not. The person that goes into a chat and says, I'm glad he's dead, makes this guy look really good. Because he never would have said that. It's one of the ugliest things that humanity has ever birthed. You realize that? For real. And if you go, well, what about Hitler? Hitler was one person who infected an entire world. Right now, we have an entire world that's infected. And they're teaching it to their kids. On the bright side, kids revolt, right? Kids will never agree, right? With parents. If your parents are left wing, you're going to end up rebelling and being right wing. If your parents are right wing, you probably rebel going left wing. I mean, everybody. But statistically speaking, that is kind of how it goes down. Yeah, he had absolute, gall to say things like, yeah, I personally believe there's two genders. Okay. If that's not what you believe, move on. Who cares? I can sit in a room with people that I don't agree with on anything, because I promise you, there's enough humanity between me and this other dude. He stubs his toe, right? He gets sick. The human condition is identical, whether you are left wing, right wing, independent, whether you believe in abortion, don't believe in abortion, or in the gun control, or don't give a crap, or you don't follow politics, or all you follow is sports. The human condition is identical. We get depressed. We get happy. We mourn the loss of those we love. All of these things make us one and the same. Yet, for whatever reason, all we can concentrate on are the things that separate us. To exercise free speech and catch a bullet, for it speaks to both sides. No question. But what it speaks to worse than anything on earth is that we live in an age where this is celebrated by a lot of people. And what effect do you think that has on the next school shooter? The next person that sees that someone murdered for their speech is celebrated. Maybe they don't go into a school, right? Or maybe they go into the school and start shooting only people that seem to be really well spoken. It's a terrifying concept, but when you take a villain and turn him into some kind of a hero, like Mangione, if you don't think there are going to be copycat Mangiones because of all of the asshats on the internet who talk about what a hero this guy is and how he's celebrated in prison, they all think he's the greatest. And are you kidding? This is our world now, man. And not for nothing, but we have to fix it. There's 52 of us. We got this. For real. How do you fix it? Well, you start having conversations with people. And if you find yourself somewhere where there's hate, you leave and act like you're in an airport. For real. Because if you're a content creator and everybody in your chat is saying things that's foul and 15 or 16 people go, I'm leaving and I'm not coming back, they're going to stop it. Might not be that video or live stream, but it's going to be the next one. When you watch your subscriber count start dropping like a stone, people will get the message that hate ain't cool. But if people believe hate sells, they'll make content to feed into that echo chamber. You follow me? That's what an algorithm does. It feeds you what you want to hear so that you can feel better about yourself. That's what it does. People go, how could somebody like Matthew Dowd? He's a MSNBC analyst. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was a press secretary or something. And I think it's way the hell back. It was like under Bush. But he's been with MSNBC a hot minute. But he basically said something along the lines of, when you talk like this, hate speech leads to this kind of thing happening. And MSNBC said, yeah, you're gone. And quickly. But why do you think he said that? He said that because he thought the audience was going to groove to it. That's it. He thought the audience was going to groove to it. And they might have, right? They might have. Because haters from the other side, right? Right-wing people watch all that left-wing stuff, waiting for one person to say something that they can descend on. It's ugly. I cannot say I have empathy for a man who died in a way he was telling Oh, I'm sorry. He was willing to sacrifice others so that he could have guns. I can't say that he deserved it. The people I feel most sorry for are his children. I'm horrified by anybody that can't have empathy for somebody that just got murdered in front of their kids. Sorry, but I'm not sorry. Honestly. If you started the sentence with, I really feel sorry for his kids, it's tragic. Nobody should die this way. I might not agree with the man's speech, but I'll tell you something, okay, Canadian. There are 80 million people in the United States that agreed with him, more or less. He's very much a part of the campaign that just got put through. And our government in the United States is getting to a point where it may need to be removed. It's a crazy thing to say, or certainly changed. And when the founders put into the Second Amendment, they didn't do it for any other reason other than the fact that you might get to a day where you have to remove a government. Sorry, it's the truth.
She's Canadian.
Yeah, I realize she's Canadian. But in the United States of America, that's the reason for the Second Amendment. And there have been millions of people that have died because people have guns. It's the way it is. And it's sad. It is. It's horrible. And it's a question that no one can answer. But when we start hating each other for it, or if we get to the point where we can say, I don't have empathy for a guy that just got shot in front of his teenage daughters, then we're a little left of field. Tell me, what do you think this will do to public political speakers? Personally, I live for the debates. Well, I'll tell you something. This is 9/11, which is a pretty rugged day. And my understanding is that the president of the United States went and made a speech at Yankee Stadium. I would have been terrified if I were him to make a speech in Yankee Stadium after yesterday, keeping in mind that he already caught one in the ear. But it's a tough thing. It really is. It's a great question. Would you go outside and speak? Look, people like me go outside and talk to people all the time. And I had had long conversations with my ex, because she will go out and set up a table and start asking questions of people. And Charlie Kirk, if you're watching any of his old stuff, he would put a table up and put a question on it and invite people to come up and have discord where you talk about things from both sides of the equation. It's a beautiful idea. It really is. You know the problem, and I'm going to make a lot of friends. But the problem is this. If you ever watched the guy, there weren't a lot of people that sat down across from him that had an ability to communicate what their argument was. And it drove people insane, because what he sat down to debate, he knew exactly what he wanted to say. And he got a lot of millennials who sat down and went, you're like just stupid because like this isn't the right thing. Like, and he would ask them questions they couldn't answer. Sorry, that's the show, is it not? He was a master at speech and debate. And it made a lot of people angry because they can't stand words. And truths suck also. Truths suck. There isn't a government on planet Earth that's going to take care of every single person in the country. It doesn't really happen very often. That's a crap truth, isn't it? At least the last time we got the reports, the number one cause of death in the United States of America is drug overdose. That's a crap truth. So when you start having a healthy dialogue, you say things along the lines of, every politician in the United States was cool with drugs coming across the border because they didn't want to give a win to the other side when each said, let's build a wall. When the Democrats said it first, the Republicans wouldn't give it to them. And then when the Republicans said it, the Democrats wouldn't. That's the truth. You guys can yell about who said what and who's going to build a wall, but that's the truth. That's what happened. Both sides said, screw you. I'm not letting you win. So you want to talk about deaths? There's 1 million of them. How's that? 1 million of them. More people are dying from drug overdoses every day in the United States than guns, at a rate of about 50-1. It's insane how many people are dying of drug overdoses. But people get real pissed about guns because junkies are write-offs. Right? Who cares? Who cares? But someone with a gun might accidentally shoot a good person, one of those people worthy of saving. It's sad, but it's the truth. 10,000 Americans die a year in America from guns. The majority are gangbangers versus 2 million people a year in self-defense and save their family and friends because of guns. And these are uncomfortable truths. They are, right? I'll tell you something else. Look up where people go and do shootings, and they do them in gun-free zones. because they're all cowards and they don't want to come up against somebody else that has a gun. And I'll tell you what, I'm more uncomfortable with gun stuff than anybody on earth. But I don't know the answer, because if you give those guns up, then the government can do anything it wants. It says in there that you can possess guns to prevent tyranny. Tyranny doesn't come from your next door neighbor, right? Tyranny doesn't come from your girlfriend or your in-laws. Tyranny comes from one place, and that's the people who sit in power. And the reason that the Second Amendment was put in there, and the right to start up militias, was so that you wouldn't find yourself where they were when they were writing those papers. It sucks. And the argument, you hear often that the argument is, well, look, man, they didn't have AK-47s. No, they had muskets. That's what the soldiers had. They didn't say you can have a smaller version of that. Sadly, I mean, this is what it is. And it's a question that can't be answered. I don't have an answer for you. I don't have an answer for you. But I'll tell you what my answer is. I don't give a crap what somebody dies and what their views are when they get shot through the spine next to their teenage kids and their wife. I'm going to have empathy. For real. The guys that make videos about me every single day saying they hope I die. If they die that way, it's going to hurt me. Maybe I'm wired different. I don't know. Maybe I am. Look at the way the people in Europe are being treated right now. Coincidentally, they took their guns away decades ago. You know what? Here's the thing. There's no good answer. There's no good answer. Because truthfully, it's, when you start talking about a country of 300 million people and like 900 million guns, you start going, that can't be healthy. It can't. And sadly, the culture at the bottom is one of the ugliest things that, we really have got if you go on Instagram and you start scrolling through kids who are in the 18 to 26 range, the number of sites you're going to come across where they're standing with 14 guns. Everybody in the picture's got a couple of pieces. When I was in prison, the number of people, literally, they would take those pictures, put them in a computer, blow them up, and read serial numbers. No lie. I mean, tell your kids not to take stupid pictures. Obama deported 1 million. My cousin was paralyzed from a gunshot, and she was a child. She was innocent. Chef Bobby, I'm so sorry, man. I really am. I'm so sorry. Once again, this is, you know what, people? We can disagree. We can disagree. We're not going to fight. Please. We're not going to fight. There are people here who disagree on a lot of things, right? All of us are trying to live our best life. And if the answer is we can't do shows where we have healthy conversations, then I'm wasting my time. Literally. Maybe I've just run away, hide, and talk among people that can all get along and not hate one another. You know what I mean? That's terrifying to me. We're all junkies. We're all addicts. There is so much that we have in common that if we can't stay civil talking about anything, we're screwed. You understand? For real, we're screwed. Any comment you want. Start crapping on anybody here that I like, and I promise you're going to disappear to as far as east is away from west. We can be civil. I promise you we can. There isn't an answer. You hear me? There isn't. First of all, let's just look at where we're at. If the founding fathers screwed up, what are we going to do? Go take 900 guns from 300 million Americans? Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out. Because if you think it means every American's got 3 guns, you bumped your head. There are guys out there that have arsenals, and they have them in many cases because they're afraid of their government. I'm afraid of my government. That's why I don't live there anymore. Terrified of them. The amount of rights that they've already stolen from the people are horrifying. I don't think we'd be in good shape without the fact that there are an awful lot of fear over what would happen to the people because they will rise up. Hey, Lewis, you're a douchebag. Did you catch that? Do you think this is a nice comment, genius? Can you get rid of him? Yeah, do it. Just at least time him out for the day.
No, he's gone.
This here, that's not a healthy dialogue. That's a jackwagon. Sorry, man. Yeah, Lawn Dog, it does look like that. There's been shortages on a lot of different ammunition from what I understand. A lot of people have written to me about that. Yeah, you know what? Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. You know how many people out there who possess guns don't agree with 95% of other things? We all need to get along, even if we don't come down on the same side. We don't need to agree. We need to listen to what the other side says, take it into our own minds, throw the processor on, and come out with your own opinion. There's not an opinion that's going to be right, and there's not one that's going to be wrong. I think we're in a tough place. We really are. We're in a tough place. But I'll tell you something. The shootings, look at how many of those guns are bought legally. So the question is, what? Do you get rid of them? Do you realize that there is not a human being in the country that I'm in right now that doesn't have a machete? Not a one. They sell them at 7-Eleven because there aren't any guns here. Very, very few. It's very difficult to get a weapon in this country. But everybody has a machete. Everybody. And I want to tell you something. Some of the largest annihilations and attempted eliminations of entire groups of people happened before the advent of gunpowder. It's how did prohibition work out? Beautifully, right? For real. I think the scariest thing that is threatening our country right now doesn't have a lot to do with the Second Amendment. I think it has a lot more to do with the First Amendment. And I think it has a lot more to do with the fact that we're not even sure at this point if anybody that you voted for is running any country anywhere. There's a lot of evidence that's leaning toward the fact that the most important people on the planet are now asking AI to help them make. Renee B makes a great point. It's hard to conceal a machete. It is. It's also not a problem to see somebody walking down the street with one. There are a lot of them around, but you're right. I think that, honestly, we're getting to a point. Excuse me. You know what? Nobody likes you. I think we're getting to the point where technology, why can't we make a gun that works only with one person? And whatever happens and when it happens is all uploaded to some kind of a computer. If we got AI this smart, why can't we sell guns to people where the second they catch a felony, the gun stops working in their hand? I'm sorry, but I think that would be fantastic. Why can't we figure out a way to make these things safe? For real. You can ask an AI computer to find every single article ever written on something that happened 6 minutes ago, and it will be on the computer. Why can't we make a safe gun? Huh? I promise you we can. I promise you we can. Now, it's going to shut down a crap load of really small gun companies. And you know what? That's the nature of the beast, right? That's capitalism. And the first company that comes out with it are going to make more money than you can imagine. 3D printer and an uncensored version of ChatGTP. You mean to make a ghost gun? It's a little bit more complex than that. I had a ghost gun on my case, but yes, it's. Sir Gobbledygook says it already exists. Well, then maybe we need to start doing a trade-in program. You got a weapon, you come and trade it, or have it modified so that it does that. Because I think a non-lethal firearm. Well, there you go. A Birna or one of those. I think that's a very effective tool. I wish that the planet had more of those and less firearms. It's really disturbing to me that a lot of times it feels like the culture feeds into, and by culture, I mean the music, the videos, what people post online. There is a culture that makes being a gangster, in the very different sense of the term than it used to mean, something cool, right? Good people have to be worried also about being harmed by the government if they decide to keep their only means of personal protection. We'll have both the government. Yeah, this is real. Yes, I have that brand. Renee B, here's something I can tell you. While I have never tested a Birna, right? I'm not allowed near anything that has a trigger. I have been shot with those pepper balls on numerous occasions, and those projectiles will ruin your day, and quickly. Strange thing. There's 2 books just been published about this tragedy. One is paperback. How do you publish a paperback in less than 24 hours? Here's the thing. I would have agreed with you. I would have agreed with you, say 2 or 3 years ago, but you would be shocked how fast you can get something like that out. I would imagine that very little of it was written by a human being. I would imagine that they asked artificial intelligence to go through all of the available information to date. And then they said, write it in my voice. And what I mean by that is you can sit down with an AI bot and you can converse with this thing and yell at it and tell it things until it absolutely understands your sense of humor. Like if I were to do this and I were to play with the thing for 2 or 3 weeks, it would say stuff like, and this cat came over the top of like any of my little mannerisms, right? All of those things would end up in this because AI will learn me faster than I can learn me. And then it will write it out in the book. And that whole process will take what, 30 seconds? I'm not kidding. Nothing that you see anymore. Honestly, nothing that you see anymore. Unless you're watching something that's live, there's a really good chance that you're watching something that's being done by AI. So Matthew Dowd was the first to get fired. Charlie Rock, communications coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, see ya, also got fired. An Old Miss staff member shared a hurtful and insensitive comment on social media about Charlie Kirk's death. The Charlie Rocks posted on social media shortly after Kirk's death, "Why are you all sad? Your man said it was worth it," plus other comments, including reference to a song, "Protect Your Neck," in relation to Kirk. Protect your neck. Nice guy right there. Nice guy right there. Wonder if he's got kids. Empathy. I said, you're going to get to a place, right? You're going to get to a place where a populist candidate is going to show up. And I said, if you think Trump is a populist candidate, then you've never really seen what it is or researched it. Because I'm telling you what's coming. What's coming are people like this guy that just got fired. That's what's coming. Someone that's going to stand up there and say, we need to kill all of these people if we're going to be happy. Because the right is no longer savable, or the left is no longer savable. It's a frightening thing. It really is. Lilith Juniper, I prefer if you open your mouth. I prefer if you open your mouth. Honestly, we talk about a lot of things here that hopefully provoke people to at least look at the other person, right? For real. I want to tell you something. There are people that make videos of me. I don't think every day anymore. I had somebody tell me the other day they hadn't seen a really nasty hate one in a while. I'm sure they're coming. But they used to do it every single day, sometimes 2 and 3 of them a day. And I pray for this person, whether you believe it or not. I do. I pray for this person. I pray for him by name. Because the level of hate that exists in someone's heart, where you're willing to spend as much time as I do doing this, just talking about how much you hate me, you need help, man. Like that. It's a cancer that eats people's souls. And the echo chamber makes it normal. The echo chamber makes it normal. It finds people that believe exactly what you believe. You know, I saw a comedian once, and he said, if you go online and you get to porn, and they asked you a question and said, what are you into? And you say, I like seeing girls slapped on the backside with a fish, you know, while they wear Doc Marten boots, a cowboy hat, and carry a bullwhip. But the bullwhip has to be pink. They're going to find you 600 sites for it and thousands of people who know exactly what that turn on is because they're into it too. There is nothing on this planet that you can't find someone else to go, yeah, you're right. And that is a terrifying concept. I'm not saying that, you know, whatever you're into is deviant or weird or whatever. But if it's a little off, I think hiding things that are a little off may not be horrible. I don't think you take the weirdest part of who you are and celebrate it as the most important thing. Because when we do that, we separate ourselves from the rest of the entire species, right? When a guy comes up and introduces himself and says, I identify as a dolphin queen king, by the way, not making this up. I can show you the clip. But if a guy comes up and says, I am a dolphin queen king, I'm a little nervous. I'm sorry, I am. That's a gender. By the way, that person spoke at one of the national conventions. We're trying to celebrate that which is different to a level that is pissing off that which is normal. It shouldn't happen. Here's the thing. People go, no one's tolerant. You're tolerant until you come to my house, get in my screen, get in my life, and tell me how I have to think. Now you start getting angry, and you start getting angry, not at the politicians who are shoving this down your throat, but at the people that they're trying to make you accept. It's pretty nasty. Do you follow me? It's not that people are intolerant. It's that echo chambers start to pop up that create intolerance to a degree that will bring violence. And I promise you, if I drop a faggot, I'm probably not worth killing. Words should never do something that's going to rise to a level that somebody needs to die. It shouldn't rise to a level where someone needs to be hated. For real, man. No one should get shot over any opinion, whether it's a political view, whether it's a religious view. And we've been killing each other over religion since it was invented. But if I bring up something and I start talking about it, it's amazing how fast people start to lecture one another. It would be beautiful if we could just sort of listen to what someone says and read the dissenting opinion. Rosa, what's happening? Good to see you. Glad that you're here. It's awesome. It's just one of those things. It really is. But we don't celebrate that which brings us together and makes us all the same anymore. In fact, we don't even talk about it. We just celebrate it. There are no clubs. There are no hangouts. There are no places that we go just to gather and be human beings. Instead, we sit at home on our computers where you don't see the person that you're typing into the computer. You know what? I don't really care that he's dead. I didn't agree with him anyway. You're not looking at the family. You have no connection to a room full of people, because I promise you, put that person in a room of 200 and have them stand up and go, what do you think? They're probably not going to go, I'm glad the fool's dead. But it's so easy to type it into a keyboard, right? It's just ugly. But the fallout's going to keep coming. You're going to see a lot of people fired over this. And I'll tell you something. There's already talk of erecting a statue to this man. And the number of people that are freaking out about that. Yeah, there should never be a statue to this guy. Right? Never should happen. There's people literally freaking out about it. They're the same people that demanded that there was a statue of George Floyd. Not trying to piss anybody off. But that guy had enough fentanyl in his system to kill him. He did. This is my wheelhouse. That man had enough fentanyl in his system to kill me and Johnny. Says a lot. And he ended up with the police because he passed the fake $20 bill. These things kind of get lost in the exchange. And he didn't deserve to die. And I feel unbelievable amounts of sympathy and empathy for his family. I do. Can't have conversations. It's getting rugged out here, people. That's no joke. I could never celebrate the death of other people. I have a lot of love for my fellow human beings. I hate seeing others getting hurt. I love that, Bruce. I absolutely love that. Look, the default setting has to be like the world should have mourned. The fact that there's a percentage, I don't give a rat's whatever. If it's 3% of the world that celebrates this, we're way off track. And I'll promise you it's a lot more than 3%. It's a lot more than 3%. Johnny Scoble said on his stream earlier that he has all but given up Facebook, right? When we first got here, we spent the day trying to delete it. You can't delete Facebook. For real. They make sure that that's a very difficult process to do. But I went there last night and just started reading comments. And man, I wish I could delete Facebook. People I thought I knew, man. I saw an interview with, that went quick. That's a good thing. I saw an interview with Kirk's wife that she said she didn't know how to tell her kids. She hadn't told them at that point. Oh my God. Can you imagine, man? Oh man. It's what happened to us, man? How did we get where we're at today? How is it all right to go in and talk to a classroom full of people and say, well, that dude deserved it for how he talked? For how he talked. Tell you what, go watch an arrest video of any human being that you see on YouTube and listen to what he says to a cop for 15 minutes. The most foul and vile and disgusting things you've ever heard come out of a human being's mouth. And nobody thinks that dude ought to die for that. No, he's standing up to the man, right? That kind of speech. Everybody will tolerate nasty speech if it lines up with something that makes you feel good, right? No one cares if the speech is ugly. Usually, as long as it's leaning in the direction that you're in. And by the way, if you are someone that says, even though I lean in this direction, when it gets ugly, the algorithm will find that happy medium and then push you more into agreeing with ugly. Not me, Tommy. Won't happen to me. Well, all of the people that don't talk to people in their families because they didn't vote for a specific candidate, do you think that that just happens? It didn't happen in the 60s. It didn't happen in the 70s, right? People argued. But for God's sakes, family, blood, you voted for Biden, right? Don't call here ever again. Look at some of the stuff, people in court trials on the internet. Yeah, there's some really foul stuff out there, man. Hey, Joe, good to see you. Political speech has often become a bludgeoning tool. That has to stop. Kellyanne, you're right. There was an American politician, and it was a million years ago, literally like before television and before radio. But he said that the person running against him was a hermaphrodite. And but people used to say that stuff at speeches, and there wasn't somebody there with a phone that was. I mean, if you fart now, the entire world knows you did it. Well, Tommy, in a nutshell, that is how the United States is being attacked. Just one of the avenues: break down law and order, that kind of thing. It's communism. Yeah, you choose your words for what it is. You know what? The amazing thing to me is that there's no chance that it isn't systematic. I'm sorry. There's no chance of that. And, you know, I don't pull out the tinfoil hat lightly, right? But there's an awful lot of really crazy things that are going on in the world right now, and no one is looking at them. And anytime something like that happens, it scares the crap out of me. It's one of those things. Yeah, I agree with you. The American society is violent. It started with the Indian genocide. It absolutely did. It absolutely did. We have an ugly past. There's no question. We have a very ugly past. But I fear, as bad as the past in the United States was, there's a time coming soon where we're all going to wish we were in it at some level of it, because the amount of ugly that's coming. Wow. Oh, wow. I just got a video that I absolutely have to watch. Yeah. Divide and conquer. Chicken Cherry Cola, good to see you. I'm glad that you're here. It literally is, go back to Sun Tzu, right? Go back to anybody that talked about anything. When you can fracture your country into two halves, making anything you want get pushed through becomes very, very simple. It's sad, profoundly, profoundly sad. The current trajectory is civil war, if not course corrected, not hyperbole. I agree with you. Or, and I think that this is probably more likely, we're going to get a candidate that is so freaking radical that we're not going to have to worry about a civil war because one side is going to rub out the other. Every time we lose a little bit more of who we are, the middle class disappears more. We lose a little bit more rights everywhere where, you're in the police state, whatever it is. Every time we give that up, we're not the blame that ends up getting put on a group, right? Now we don't go, boy, those politicians are idiots. No, my brother's an idiot because he voted for that politician. Do you see the difference? When everybody complained about government, that wasn't good enough. Renee B, preach. Go ahead. Absolutely go ahead. That's we do have to get closer to the Creator. I don't know people that you can track the decline of just about every civilization out there, sadly. And this follows a very specific pattern. And I mean financially, where the dollar is at right now, the eroding of what used to be considered values, things that everybody in the country used to kind of agree on. Like you could get the entire country to say the Pledge of Allegiance and still hate, your politicians or not be happy with who's ever running the government. There were things that kind of brought us all together. and made us all American. You know, those things are gone. Okay, Canadian, I love you. And if you wrote it wrong, then I apologize. And I'll just, I'll point that at everybody else, because the number of comments I get from people who say things like, I got no sympathy for the guy, but I don't want him to die. I think that's tough. But if it wasn't you, then I sincerely apologize. Chase Hughes just dropped a video on YouTube. You know, I don't mind you advertising Chase Hughes. He's one of my favorite people. It's sad they used to be the party that fought for equal rights for everyone. Now they want to take away more and more rights from average Americans. I don't want to have anything to do with them anymore. You know what? It's I'm unhappy with the political party that I've been affiliated with probably since my 30s, and I can't call myself one. And if more people start to feel like that the political party that they're affiliated with sucks, then we're going to be in good shape.
You know who the shooter is?
Johnny Scoville, this just in. You got a name?
Yeah.
What is it?
Todd McCausland put in the chat. His name is Sky Valdez.
Sky
Valdez.
Oh, Valadez. Who put it in the chat?
Todd McCausland.
I don't see it. I wonder if I blocked him at some point. I just don't see it. Look, people even refuse to go to the White House. My opinion, if you get invited, you go no matter what party. Can you believe that? Invite me to go to the White House. I don't care who you are. Give me a shot at walking inside that building, you know, walking around, looking at history. I don't care who you are. I'm going to the White House. But you know something? I met Muhammad Ali. We had an opportunity to spend a decent amount of time together when I was doing a deal a long time ago in Canada, oddly enough. And he threw an Olympic medal off of the bridge because he was very unhappy with the United States. And he said, boy, I wish I had protested that differently. I was actually there when they gave it back to him, which was kind of cool. Both political parties are corrupt and have been for a long time. It's just now that there's a little change in one of them that is the best way to explain it. I got you. Bruce Cook says, in the sickening violence we have seen coming from their side lately, and the reactions coming from some of them shows where they're at right now and why. You know what? Sadly, you know, it's not going to make me popular, but I don't trust either of them at any level. At any level, right? I am. The White House Library looks like a very amazing place, at least when Nicolas Cage was in there. That's the coolest thing I've ever. That's a great comment, Kellyanne. I am disgusted with both parties. I really am. I'm disgusted with both parties. I don't trust any of them. The Epstein thing, if it taught us anything, is that they're all dirty. They're all filthy. And I absolutely 100% believe this, that the last administration protected everyone involved in the Epstein thing. It's the reason there was no prosecutions. It's the reason there was a sweetheart deal that said everybody else, the molested kid's going to get a pass as well. Do you realize that any co-conspirator of Ghislaine Maxwell got? Wrap your brain around that. I'm sorry, wrap your brain around that. Dane Young says, if trouble must come, let it come in my time so that my children can live in peace. Wow, it's heavy. How will we ever trust those parties again? So much has been eroded. I don't know that you can. I mean, again, these are really hard questions. But do you know what? If the people on the left and the people on the right could agree that these are really hard questions, we could rebuild this. We could. You know how you fix it? I hate to say this. I don't want to sound like a guy that's read too many books. But you have what's called an Article 5 convention. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you need 32 or 33 states in order to ratify this. And if they all sign off on it, you can get back together and rewrite parts of the Constitution. And that most obviously needs to happen. Nobody seems to be happy. So the problems need to be fixed. Maybe there needs to be a new Bill of Rights. Maybe there needs to be a new Constitution. I don't know. I love the Constitution. I really do. I think it's a very solid document. I think it's living. I think it's breathing. And the people who go, well, you know, times change. The concepts don't. They really don't. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Sky Valdez may not be the shooter, but people are saying he is. He even wrote a song called Charlie Kirk's Death Isn't Enough for Me. Wow. Wow. Chase Hughes mirrored my words. Well, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. No lie, especially since it came up while I was still talking. How do you know he didn't rip me off? Probably because I don't write these. I just sort of talk. Term limits for House and Senate. Who's the genius? Who just said that? Yeah. Why do we have politicians who, as a way of making a living? What do you do for a living? I'm a politician. I'm sorry. You should be beat about the head and shoulders if you tell someone you're a politician for a living. You should get in there, serve, and get out. Go back into the real world. And you know what else we need to get rid of? Two things that would cure a lot. We get rid of lobbyists. They shouldn't be legal. You should not be able to take millions of dollars, funnel it to a candidate through a political action committee, right? That's foul. They write the bills and the people just bring them to Congress and pass them. These are big, huge corporations that just want things pushed through because it's good for their business. That's disgusting. We're not a republic. We're a country that's run by the richest, right? The richest corporations can push bills through, and they do. And they donate tons of money because of it. And then the other thing that's got to go is earmarks. You make a bill. The bill is to build schools in every state in the union. You're trying to up education. And it's a $3 billion or a $10 billion project. And you need to get votes. So you call the senator from the good state of Michigan. And you say, hey, will you vote on this with me? And he goes, yeah, but the Upper Peninsula needs some work. I want to earmark onto that bill $25 million to clear out forestry in the Upper Peninsula. And you go, yeah, we can do that. And the bill gets bigger. And then you call the senator from the good state of Vermont, and he says, yeah, but we've had the worst tourist year we've ever had. We got to figure out something to do because we're really in bad shape. We could use a bill or a grant. I'm going to need probably 15 or 20 million so that we can channel it back into the economy in Vermont. And you just keep putting one pork barrel add-on after another. And the worst part of it is there's going to be a scumbag, right, that puts an earmark on there that says, and we want to give millions of dollars to sick children all over the world. And they only put that in there so that when the other side doesn't vote for the bill, in the next election, they can go, Tommy Scoville voted against giving money to children. None of those commercials are real. Those weren't the bills they voted. Like, recent example. How many politicians voted to not bring the Epstein files? That wasn't what the bill was. It was an amendment on the bottom of a bill about cryptocurrency. So if you don't want to look bad on the Epstein thing, you got to vote for a bill you might not be all that cool with. That's a problem. That's a problem. Do you not see that as a problem? How about the fact that you can leave Congress on a Monday and be working for a corporation lobbying on the Hill the following day? So you were hanging out with politicians on Monday, and on Tuesday you're hanging out with them doing the same stuff, except this time you're being paid by Philip Morris, right? Or you're being paid by some other huge, massive company. That's an issue. If they made a TV show on politicians trying to live on minimum wage, I'd watch it. You and everybody else on planet Earth. You want to talk about going viral? Good Lord. Can I pick a couple? Term limits everywhere. Term limits everywhere. For real. There has to be. I tell the story all the time, but I've always been pretty into the whole political thing. Obviously, I'm not somebody that could run for an office. But I would go down and bust the chops of people all over the place. Hold on one second. Yeah. It seems disingenuous when people from the other side lamenting about his death when they made the issues such a divining rod. Too late. You know, I agree with you. However, all of it is words. Right? All of it is words. I can't remember the place or exactly the time, but I remembered when you heard people say that they needed safe spaces because somebody had said a political politician's name. Right? Honestly, or chanting USA was considered racist. What the hell happened? Well, if these things are accepted, here's an unpopular. Crowder said that his source in the ATF decided to leak the rifle because he was afraid it would get buried. It's bad when their own people are tired of the cover-ups. Wow, that's crazy. Do you hear this? Loud with Crowder said that, and his source at the alcohol Tobacco and Firearm decided to leak the rifle information. They found the shooter's bolt-action high-caliber rifle in the woods near where Charlie Kirk was speaking. He was afraid it would get buried. It's bad when their own people are tired of the cover-ups. The United States has become a banana republic. But here's my closing thoughts. All of the people that go, how did we get here? This is troll action, right? This is troll society. This is troll culture. It's the conclusion of it. You start off watching someone and you don't agree with them, and you leave a comment that goes, you're an ass, you're an idiot, this and that, and somebody blocks you. You feel like your voice was taken away. But the guy you hate, he's got a voice, right? So you send them a couple of emails and you say, I hope your mom dies. And you say, it's just some of the foulest stuff in the entire world. And he blocks your emails, right? Then you make videos about him and you do whatever you can. And he doesn't watch them and he doesn't respond back. And you feel like you haven't got a voice. And eventually the echo chamber that you sit in says, hey, we should call the cops and see if we can get him arrested for this. Or let's try to do this to the guy. And it just keeps escalating until it gets to the point where you realize that you really can't hurt someone that doesn't care. If they're going to keep out and they're going to keep talking, well, maybe I'll take it to the next level. And everybody that you talk to is edging you on and egging you on. And every video you listen to says he's the most evil person that ever lived. And, you know, he does this to little children and he does this to puppies and kittens. And it gets to a point where you feel like you're justified taking that guy off the planet. Because hell, won't it just be a better place if Tommy Scoville's dead? This is just troll culture when it really goes wild. You know, not a guy that's got 20,000 subscribers and gets a few hundred views and has some haters, but a guy that literally is changing the shape of a country. Trolls get nastier the bigger you get. But this is just troll culture. So if you find yourself on a freaking website listening to people troll other people, you're part of the problem. You're literally part of the echo chamber that causes exactly what happened yesterday to happen. And you know what? I don't like you. Sorry, I don't. The number of emails of people that say to me, hey, I watched so-and-so make a video about you. Just wanted to make sure that, you know, what you're doing is feeding into the culture that causes people to do things like it happened yesterday. Not sorry. Not in any way sorry. It's on you. You're telling the algorithm what's cool. I only watch it because the algorithm doesn't care why you watch it. It doesn't. It just goes, ooh, hate is good. You can leave a comment that says, I hate you. Hate is terrible. Don't do this anymore. What's wrong with you? It just looks like interaction. It just looks like you're interacting with that channel. The algorithm just goes, this sells, right? This sells. In an echo chamber, one's voice always comes back. The media frenzy is stomach turning. Yeah, here's where it gets worse, though. The media frenzy is disgusting, but it's not where the real indoctrination happens. The real indoctrination happens by what the algorithm decides you will look at. No one watches television anymore. For real, very few people watch television. Most people get all of their stuff through their computer or through their phone. And there is an algorithm deciding what you're going to see other than that which you always watch. And you can see it change. You know, when I was a watch guy, 90% of what it suggested to me was watches. When I stopped, well, I'm always a watch guy, but when I stopped my business, I don't get those same, you know, bombardments. I don't. The mirror is fantastic at looking at exactly what you want and then pushing you just a little. Like you're a person that would never look at one of those videos where you see somebody being beheaded by a Mexican cartel, and those are out there. You would never look at that. Not today. But you watch shows like Ridiculousness until you are completely desensitized to watching a man fall on his face at 25 miles an hour or get hit in the head by something, you know, falling off of a bridge and landing up. It's incrementally pushing what we are comfortable watching happen to other humans. How do you eat an elephant? Or how do you turn around a 35-ton cruise ship? Right? You'll never even notice you turning. You'll never even notice you turning. Do yourself a favor. When you get off of this, go look at everything that is being recommended to you. And you'll have a pretty good idea of where you're at in life. Because the stuff that's getting recommended to you is based on usually what you're watching. If you're watching hate, check your stuff. For real. Check it. Or don't go, how does something like this happen? I'm sorry, but this is it. It's that simple. Garbage in, garbage out. If we spent 4 hours a day talking about making life better, talking about hanging out with people. Movie Jackass is people hurting themselves. Yeah. Remember Jerry Springer? What we celebrated. And here's the thing, you go, yeah, Jerry Springer went away. Right. And a new culture came out of it. A new culture came out of it. What is entertainment now? You know, what is it that we watch? I watch true crime, and I do it a lot because of what I do for work. But I'm getting less true crime now than ever before, because now really what I'm looking at is the state of the world. And I'm really comfortable where I'm at. I feel particularly safe where I'm at. And I've made some investments where I'm at, where if things get bad, I will have the ability to use some solar and do some things that could keep me going. But for the rest of the world, most of you are sitting in places that are a little bit more dangerous. That's right. The algorithm or the computer that is watching everything you watch is going to serve up the content you watch. It's part of the system. But it's going to push you a little bit more each time. And the reason it's really going to push you a little bit more each time is because it is absolutely essential for it to maximize the amount of time that you're going to watch. And statistically speaking, and you can look this up because I already have, but if you look at what positive content versus negative content, if positive content is on, a person will pop in, watch it for 5-10 minutes, take off. If it's negative content, it could be 5 hours long. If you're watching a car wreck, you're going to watch until the end of it. And I don't mean you, right? I truthfully believe we're unique. But the vast majority of people are going to watch until the end. And that's the reason that the algorithm is going to keep pushing you. There's always ugly stuff in my feed, and I don't ever look at ugly stuff. I don't get a lot of it, but it's always tempting you. It's always, hey, check this out. Here's somebody getting theirs. Check this out, right? What's that German word? Schadenfreude. It's a genre, right? There are channels out there that just talk about YouTubers that crashed and burned. You can watch it for the next 6 months. It's popular. We love building people up, and then we love watching them fail. Yes, it pushes boundaries more each time, and sometimes gives you stuff you don't want at all, out of the blue. Yeah, absolutely. And as much as it feels like it's out of the blue, to the algorithm, it views it as the perfect time of the day to hit you with that. It feels like if ever there's going to be a place or a time that you're going to cave in and look at the foulness, that's going to be it. It's unfortunately acting like it's thinking, right? Or maybe at this point it is thinking. Who knows? It's coming. It's coming. Roberta says like button. Do me a favor. Everybody smack that like button. Proves to the world that the algorithm will not reward us. If you look at a video that's got 200 views and it's got 100 likes, they're burying it. Theoretically, the algorithm should be shoving down the throat of everybody on earth anything that has 50% engagement. If it has 25% engagement, it should be shoving it down everyone's throat. It shall not. It shall not. It has an absolute bias towards people that are trying to do well. Isn't that fascinating? For real, isn't that fascinating? AI is going to kill us. It doesn't need to. It'll just get us to destroy each other. I promise. Or unplug and plug into it. Right? Extended reality, all of the stuff that's coming, people. And they're going to go, man, Tommy was talking about that 2 years ago. I'm not smart, but I read a bunch. All right, folks, between now and the next time I see you, do me a favor. Reach out and try to save somebody. You see that right there? That's a cat in a basket. Have a good evening, people. Put a little love in your heart. I'm Tommy. God bless. I love you. See you on the next one.